In this video, we're going to talk about how to subtract integers. Now, this might seem like a big and scary thing, especially if you look at a worksheet or just looking at a problem for the first time. But I'm going to show you how to change these into an addition problem. And if you mastered the addition of integers, then this shouldn't be as intimidating then. So again, let's refresh our memories of what an integer is. An integer are whole numbers that can be positive or negative. So we aren't dealing with decimal numbers. These are just positive or negative numbers. So this is a good time to pause the video and write these down in your notebook. When we have subtracting integers, it is always best to change them to an addition problem because addition problems are usually easier. So if we start with a positive 1 and we subtract a positive 3, we have two positive numbers that we're subtracting. We are going to change to, we'll keep the first one the same. It's going to stay a 1, a positive 1. Then we're going to make it a plus. Because this was a subtraction sign, all it's really telling is the second number what it wants it to do. So it's telling the second number you're really a negative number. Now we can follow the rules that we learned of adding integers. If we have a positive and a negative, we find the difference between them. So the difference between 3 and 1 is 2. And then we look to see which one was bigger. And it was our 3 was bigger, so our answer needs to be negative. Whichever one's bigger is telling you what sign it is. Let's take a look at the next one. In this case, we have a positive number minus a negative number. Now, this is where a lot of people kind of don't understand what happened. This is a good old phrase of two negatives make a positive or two wrongs make a right. Maybe you've heard that saying before. But what I like to kind of show you is this subtraction sign just kind of comes and makes it into an addition sign. They were two minuses that when you put them together, they make a plus. So really this problem turns into the positive 8, which is what we started with. But then that subtraction symbol went and made the negative symbol a positive. So it made it into a plus 9. When we have those two negative symbols next to each other, it does turn it to a positive. So this time we have a positive plus a positive, which gives us a bigger positive number. So our answer is going to be 17. In the next one, we have a negative number minus a positive number. So again, we are going to change this. What this subtraction symbol is really saying is that last number needs to be negative. So we have our negative 3 and we have negative 5. So really, we're just kind of switching these two symbols around. Anytime we're dealing with a subtraction and we want to make it positive, an addition problem, we just start flipping the symbol for the second number. So in this case, we have a negative number and a negative number. So because we have two negatives, we're going to get a bigger negative number. So we're going to add these two together and get 8. But because they both were negative, our answer needs to be negative. In our last case, we have a negative number minus a negative number. Well, we're going to change it to, we keep our first number always the same. In each of these cases, the first number never changed. It's the second number that changes. Because we have a minus negative, again, anytime you have a minus negative, number, you are really just pulling this over to connect and make it a positive. So we keep our -9, but our minus -4 turns to a +4. And then because we have a negative and we have a positive, we need to find the difference between them. The difference between 9 and 4 is 5. Which one was bigger? 9 is bigger. 9 was negative, so our answer needs to be negative. Whichever one was bigger is what the symbol of your answer is. Let's try a few examples. Before we get to those examples, though, these are the refresher notes from the last video that just kind of help explain if you end up with a positive plus a positive number, you end up with a bigger positive answer. If you have a negative number and plus a negative number, you're going to get a bigger negative number for an answer. And if you have a positive number plus a negative number, you're going to find the difference, and whichever is bigger is what the symbol will end up as. So let's try some examples. First, we need to change these into addition problems. So the very first number does not change. The first number is going to stay. So this is going to stay a -4. Now we have a minus negative. Remember, this changes it into a positive. So we end up with a +3. Now we have a negative number and a positive number, so we find the difference. The difference between 4 and 3 is 1. Which one was bigger? 4 is bigger. 4 is the one that had the negative symbol, so our answer needs to be negative. Again, we're going to keep the first number the same. It's going to stay a 14. Here we have a minus negative. So we have a minus negative, it turns it into a positive. We changed the symbol. So we end up with a +4. So our numbers are 14 plus 4. 14 plus 4 is 18. So in this case, because our minus negative were next to each other, we actually are just adding this amount to it. Our last one on this page, -50 stays. We have a minus negative. So the minus changes the negative to a positive. So we have a +30. Remember, anytime we have the negative and the minus next to each other, they change to a positive. Because I have a negative number and a positive number, I'm going to find the difference between them. The difference between 50 and 30 is 20. And which one was bigger? 50's bigger. 50 was negative, so my answer is negative. Let's try 2 more examples. Okay, we're going to rewrite these as addition problems. So the first number always stays. So it's going to stay a -9. And we have just a -7. So that's just going to say it's a -7. So if we have a -9 and a -7, we're going to end up with a bigger negative number. So it's 9 plus 7 is 16. And because they both were negative, our answer is negative. The first number stays the same. Plus, this says we have -70. So really that just means we have -70. We have a positive number and we have a negative number. So we need to find the difference between them. The difference between 70 and 65 is 5. Which number is bigger? 70 is bigger. And 70 was my negative, so my answer needs to be negative. These problems need some time, they need some practice, and they definitely need to be rewritten into addition problems. Please make sure you do that on your worksheet or any of the problems you do during the time that you're subtracting integers. If you need help, please reach out.